John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. I got a letter today about RFM from a friend, and I thought, I wonder what's happening on the internet on the topic of RFM. And if you're a direct marketer, you heard this your whole life, that recency is the most important thing in guessing who's going to come back again. The people who bought most recently are the most likely to come back again. And the longer the time that's expired since they purchased, the less likely they are to come back. And that's probably pretty true. Frequency is just the number of times they bought. And a customer who's bought multiple times is more likely to come back than a person who bought once, even if they spent the same amount of money. So monetary is how much they spend. So I looked up on the internet and I found that there were quite a number of articles, even written within the last 12 months. And several of them, like 6, cited my article, Thoughts on RFM Scoring, which is available at e-rfm.com, up here, e-rfm.com, and several other places if you just Google Thoughts on RFM Scoring. And I looked a little younger in those days, which I was. So the most common method that comes up is customer quintiles as a scoring method. And what that is we take equal number of customers in each group to make the analysis simpler and easier to understand. So you can compare the results very easily if you put the same number of people in each cell that you're mailing or that you're emailing or however you're contacting. Okay, however, what this method does is it masks both the bottom and the top of this set of scores. Now, how does it do that? Well, the first thing is that while the ones almost always are one-time buyers, it's hard to buy a half a time. The twos almost always in the quintile method, some of them have bought twice, but some of them have bought once. Now, what's the difference between a one-time buyer that gets a 2 and a one-time buyer that gets a 1? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because, you have to bring in more information, and this is just about frequency. So right away, it's throwing in erroneous information. And the point I want to make is that everybody talks about big data, and yet so often you're not doing the basics with any kind of sensibility. You're doing dumb things with the way you create the variables, and no one's looking at it. Right? That's the part that's most interesting. Is that the marketing people who could understand this don't look at it, and the IT people don't worry about it, and the consequence is the data is a mess. Okay, even when you're doing textbook RFM, this is textbook, and it's available. You can go read the textbook. Okay, but nevertheless, the 5s averaged 7.2 orders. Everybody in there averaged up that, and the 1s are 1. So it kind of works. And if you compare the results will be much better in the 5s than in the 1s. However, if you listen to my talk on business to business, you heard that we found businesses, growth businesses, in Baseball Express, in Cabela's, Land's End started. I helped them start that. Huge businesses that were, because the top of the spectrum up here, this 5 category is way, 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 way better. In this case, 15.6 times better than this big, huge piece of 1s. In our scoring methodology, we make everybody who bought once a 1 in frequency score. What a radical idea. But you can see that the 5s, 4s, and 3s all would be represented in the quintile method, in the straight equal quintile method, which means that you're masking your best customers. Sure, they're in there, and sure, the 5 quintile is going to do better than the 4, 3, 2, 1. But it's not going to do as much better as the scoring method, which takes the total number of orders and says, who represents the top 20% of order generation? We're looking at the behavior rather than just the simple customer count. And this is a very powerful, powerful alternative. It's crucial that you understand how your variables are created. We can see, and I can demonstrate, and I'll put the videos up that I did on YouTube back when I was young, which illustrate why R is improved by adding F, and F is improved by adding M. But there's so much more you can do with your data. There's so much more. Abacus, the president of Abacus once said to me, we throw away 90% of what we get our hands on. You do so much more with what data you have. And that's about creating variables. And that's the real key to making money with data. So I'll give you the links. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing.